Joachim Blomqvist. I'm based in Stockholm and have a company called Paxia. It actually means more value in Greek. And that's what I want to provide to organizations here in the Nordic area. After 38 years in the business, I like to focus on organizations where you're able to do transformational initiatives, digital initiatives, and we all know that is around the table here today, that the key for this is having data, good data, and access to the data in order to improve, innovate, and accelerate. And I would like to see that the customers that I have and organizations that I talk with, that we provide tier one, I call it tier one solutions or tier one results, but not at the tier one cost. And that's the value we bring to the table with expertise and actually the right tooling for the job as well. So people, processes, and tooling. And I have with me Hans from CYBERTEC, a veteran from the Postgres world. And the company has built up for 25 years. And you, Hans, will take control later on, and you can continue with your story and the information we have to give. And David, I'm really pleased that you're joining us here today. And David comes from the Central Bank in Austria. It's called Riksbanken in Sweden. So there we go. And so I'm really happy that you want to share the story, your success story and your transformation that you have done together with Hans and team from CYBERTEC. So David, I hand over to you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the introduction. My name is David Gressing. I'm head of unit of a unit called Base Computing Services in the IT operations department at the Austrian Central Bank. And one of my responsibilities in my unit is for the database systems. And we had some years ago the idea to look on the complete landscape of our database systems at ONB. And what we saw is we had also the ideas to reduce our costs for the systems, and we looked in detail and we saw Oracle was very cost intensive, and we were thinking about could we use another relational database system instead of Oracle to reduce our license costs in this part. And so after evaluation of this going into this direction, we decided to start a project, and the name was, or the goal was to replace the Oracle databases with PostgreSQL databases. So the agenda for my presentation: first, I want to go in detail in the key figures of our movement project. I want to go in detail how we handled and what were the issues for the migrations. What was the lessons learned of all this? And finally, what were the key findings? What were the key and very important steps you have to reconsider and you should go into if you start a movement like this at your company? Yeah, the key figures for our projects, we had around 56 services which we migrated. 50 of the services we migrated to PG. 5 services moved to MS SQL Server. The SQL Server was still up, used at our company, and we saw that some services were not able to use PG, but they could be using SQL Server. And then we decided they are small enough and they are fitting good into our MS SQL server landscape, and we moved them there. And only one database is still running on Oracle, but not on Exadata. So we decided to go away from Oracle Exadata and went to our standard environment and infrastructure, where we use VMware and the virtualization in general in our data center. But we are using it for this one database, and we have the opportunity that this product is was able to deliver us another contract, so that we can also reduce a little the costs in this way. And overall, but at the end of the key figures, I come to the savings we could achieve with this movement. The amount of data we migrated was around 170 terabyte net data, and we had, I would say, less than 10% of the services which were holding the biggest amount of data, more than 50% of it. Our largest database was around 42 terabyte. And in the migration process, our longest running duration was 84 hours for all the necessary steps to migrate the data completely from Oracle to PG. Overall, our project was in 2.5 years, and we spent around 1,800 days. We started before a calculation so that we could see that the investment of the project, with the next point, we achieved annual savings of around 650,000 euro. The reduction of the license costs with this whole movement was achieved, and with these annual savings, we saw that we had get the point that we could argue for the investment of the project, because we were very fast in achieving and taking back what we invested for the project with these savings. Yes, the migration of the two largest databases, Murphy's Law is always true. We had the requirement that our two largest databases, which were around 42 and 26 terabyte of data, they needed to be migrated at the same time, because they were depending on each other, and the excess was so that it was not possible to say, okay, we do the one bigger and some weeks later the second bigger database. We had to do it on exactly one weekend. And therefore, we decided, by the way, for all our project, we used our enterprise support partner, which is the company CYBERTEC, and Hans will show later CYBERTEC in detail, and also in detail what the challenges were and how the CYBERTEC migrator. It was a special migration tool which we used for our whole project, and which was one of the key success factors for us, because it allowed us the transfer of this data in the given time we had for these operations. So, and yeah, you can see here we have two data centers with two Oracle Exadata, and we have these two databases. One is called Core, and one was called Analytical. And to increase the necessary performance, we use our infrastructure on each side of the data center to migrate one of the databases. On the one side, we migrated the core database, and on the other side, the analytical database, and all on one weekend. And we did some weeks before we had this movement. We tried it, and so it was hard to find good slots for it, and we needed a longer weekends with an additional free day, and we picked so that we could do it, but it was very necessary to try it once, because we saw where we had bottlenecks and what we can do. And we talked with CYBERTEC, and CYBERTEC established performance optimizations in the migrator and the migration tool, so that we could achieve our necessary time slot for the productivity migration of the databases. but more in detail in the presentation also later at Hans. So what were our lessons learned of all this? Yeah, start the project right after you have renewed your Oracle contract. You need time. You need time to, on the one hand, find a proper support partner which has the necessary experience. You need definitely the commitment from all the stakeholders. And a project like this needs momentum. What we saw, and we were very early, but at the moment this is perfect fitting. You can see it. It is a way of achieving digitally sovereignty and going away from this strong dependency to Oracle and also these costs you have there. And when you can see that you can save a big amount of annual costs, then it is very good that you get a top level commitment from your board, and then you have the possibility to overcome several people who say, okay, they were skeptical and are not so sure if this movement is good and if you could achieve the necessary performance in this new environment. And yeah, the next point, as I said, find a proper support partner. We were lucky to have CYBERTEC on our side, which gave us the opportunity to have some of main committers of the Postgre community, and they were locally close to our company, and it was a key success factor for the project, definitely. The use of a migration tool is also necessary because only this way you can guarantee that the necessary structures are transformed and established in the way you need it for your IT services, I would say. Yeah, PLSQL is not easy to migrate. The best thing is to consider getting rid of it. You have possibilities to find other solutions, but the best is to say, do I really need it? Can I do it another way? And use this also as a chance to come away with it. Yeah, and applications that have been optimized towards Oracle are obviously harder to migrate than database agnostic ones, regardless of their size. We had one also bigger database, which was optimized for Oracle, I would say, for around 20 years, and it was very hard to go there because all these optimizations in the queries and the usage of the database were harder, but we were on track, and we had also the experience which optimizations we did in Oracle, and we could establish a new way also on PG. Yeah, and in some cases, the Oracle Exadata as a database machine for the Oracle databases handles big queries really well. They are bad written, but it is working good, and you often have not to think about creating a query, and it works in a way. But when you look and go in detail, and especially when you have experts like from our consulting partner, CYBERTEC, they have people who are well known with the problems and issues, and they give you very good advice how you can redesign your queries, that they are also very efficient in PG, and you need the necessary performance, and in some cases you need better performance, and you achieve it also. Yeah, and third-party tools can be really cumbersome to migrate. Most of the third-party tools we bought and not developed at our company, we migrated to SQL Server, or one is still at Oracle. So they are harder. All what you have under control when you can talk with the developers, or you have developers in-house, then it's easier, and mainly and often you use tools, and you can easier change. For example, when you use JPA as in Java development, it's easier to change the dialect to PG from Oracle way, or you have really native queries, so that could be harder to find it. Yeah, what we see is since we have it, the database team is more happy than it was in the past, because the approach of PG is more newly. It's modern. It's very more simple and easier, and it makes more fun to work. And in each new version also usually brings significant improvement of the performance. And it is really fun to see it. In the past, we had enough to invest for each new Oracle database version, but we saw no performance improvement. And that is very, very good to see it with PG is coming. I see there's more spirit and more punch behind this community to establish new functionalities, new improvements. And I would say that makes really fun and helps developers and database team, and is very good to see. So the next slide. Oh, was too fast. Sorry, I go back. Yeah. So what can I say at the end? It took some time to find the perfect moment to start such a project. I would say the moment is still good for movements like this. Everybody looks for cost savings. Everybody looks for more digital sovereignty. And the project overall, we achieved our main goal. We were in time, in scope, in budget. We achieved the given cost savings. We also increased the flexibility when changing database data store, both increasing and decreasing capacity. We are not depending on Oracle hardware as we were with Oracle Exadata, which were as complex and as dissatisfying like all the talks with Oracle in the past. And in this community and with our enterprise support partner, which is CYBERTEC, we are very happy, and I would say I would always start this movement again. Yeah, and one important thing was definitely that operations and development should work closely together. You should identify if you have stakeholders which are against this movement, and as I said, you should always look for top level support for this movement, and you get it easy, I would say, when you have this cost savings, and when in times like this you can argue with digital sovereignty, and that should be what you always should talk very transparent and very directly. Yeah, and we around 170 terabyte and 50 servers have been migrated to PG, and yes, I can say we are happy, and so thank you for your attention, and I'm open for questions, and also my team is here. So thank you.
So super, thanks, David. I thought that we move ahead with Hans, and then we have a Q&A in the end.
Perfect.
I see there are some chats incoming, and then we could, run the Q&A there. So let's, Hans, if I let you take over, I do like this. I take control. There we go, and then you, Hans, should be able to take control of the...
Hello, everyone. So can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
I hope the ducks behind me are not that disturbing, because I'm currently on the road in South Africa, and the ducks behind me just decided to fight over a piece of bread. Okay. So thank you, Joachim, for the introduction, and thank you, Joachim, also for setting up this this webinar. Just to remind everyone, Nordic is Paxia is our primary partner in the Nordics. So if you guys need anything in the Nordics, please reach out to Paxia. It's much appreciated. Also, I want to say thank you to David here for making this all possible. And I really want to point out, like, normally you hear, Postgres is great, everything is fine, you hear this from the sales guys, right? But here we are talking to a central bank that is an important critical application. There are critical things out there in the world. There is medical stuff, there's energy, etc. But a central bank is really something that is at the core of the economic system. And hearing those things from a central bank is really something that makes me humble, because it's not like a new guy at university does his first startup and uses Postgres. This is the core of a country. If you control the money supply, you control the economy. So this is something important. And I really wanted to drive this home and be very thankful for this opportunity. So shortly about us, we are operating worldwide. Currently way over 100 people already here worldwide. And we're doing Postgres all our lives. So we've done this all our lives, and we will keep doing that. So, but let's move on to the service part of you. We do obviously enterprise 24/7 support, tuning, migration, and so on. So we do full stack Postgres. But let me not bore you with that. Let's move on how you can facilitate a successful migration. First of all, it's a tooling thing that's a bit underestimated, because if your tooling is not right, you will have inconveniences, let's say, along the way, right? And obviously you need to have a proper process that you're following in order to do this in a professional way. And what you should not underestimate is also the fact that you need people who know this. Migrating data only, migrating 50 gigabytes of data is simple. Migrating 50 terabytes of data already needs a bit more knowledge. And if you do that under pressure, and if you do that in an environment where quality is really key, obviously you need to make sure that stuff is okay. So when we're talking about the Austrian National Bank, what we see here is that a fair amount of applications and database systems was migrated. But in general, if you're talking about migrations that are covering thousands and thousands of systems, we were recently talking to somebody on the continent that was talking about 11,000 systems to be migrated. So if you're talking about 11,000 systems to be migrated, it's not like migrating one database. Migrating one database is a skill thing. Migrating 1,000 databases is a logistics thing, right? Because you have to talk to the application owners. You have to tell them, okay, when can we have downtime? What's the client application like? So migrating one system is a skill thing. Migrating thousands of systems is a logistics thing. So to reflect this stuff, we classify the process usually in pre-assessment, detailed assessment, migration, and aftercare. So that's normally the way we approach this. And let me elaborate on that. Pre-assessment, what do I mean by that? If you're dealing with 1,000 systems that need to be migrated, by the time you have the next meeting with the customer, this number has already changed, right? So we're talking we've been working with one customer in Europe for a while, and they're commissioning and decommissioning 30 systems a day, right? So they drop 30 systems a day and they grade 30 systems a day. So this means if you're moving the estate, it's logistics, right? Which applications will come in, which applications will be decommissioned, what is actually the scope of the project. So one database is tactics, 1,000 databases is logistics. Okay, so this fluent pre-assessment project is really, what do we have? Who do we have to talk to? And finally, when it's really down to the assessment of the application, right? It's about what's in the system, what's the size of the system, what are the uptime requirements during migration, what is the procedure code, and does the application owner actually talk to you, right? It's easy to make a management decision and say, you guys shall migrate. Well, but what if they don't? You know what I mean? So you really, as David pointed out before, and I could not agree more, if you don't have those guys on board and have something to offer, the logistics part starts to be a problem, right? And this is really important, because so if you're moving to Postgres, you will get a database that is fun to work with, but people need to figure out, right? So you need to have them on board, and that's something that is possible. I mean, yesterday I've spoken here to a couple of DB2 people, right? They were doing DB2 for half their lives, you know. And if you just find their technical desire, you know, this is a Unix guy, you know, and you catch him because he's a Unix guy, you know, and you can get him excited because, oh, what cool piece of technology is that? Show him some cool stuff, you know, and you will get them on board. Don't impose it. Get them where they're excited. And if it's a Unix guy, show him the cool Unix stuff we have on Postgres. It's that simple, right? But it's important. So what we do during assessment is we classify the systems. So this is trivial, this is data only, this needs a little bit of code migration, this needs zero downtime, etc. So the goal here is really, when you're doing this at scale, you need to know your playing field, right? So pre-assessment, get the scope, assessment, okay, have the easy stuff, and what is the stuff that really matters and causes the effort. So this needs detailed inspection, talking to the application guys, and so on. And after all, it's hands-on, right? It's not just logistics. Eventually, there's a bit of work involved. And what we do in our migrator is we were able to handle multiple migrations at a time, because if you're dealing with 1,000 systems, you don't do this sequentially. You just don't, right? So you have to handle multiple things, and you also have to do automation. Let me give an example. So you're working on the migration of an application. That means test system is migrated, production system is migrated, staging system is migrated, right? So automation means you automate the process and you apply it to those various stages, right? So migrating a database is not like one box. There is an ecosystem around that, right? So obviously you can do this on test first and so on, but then you work your way up, and downtime is something to be considered. I mean, imagine you turn off electricity for 12 hours under the pretext of, sorry guys, we're upgrading. I mean, it's not gonna fly. You know what I mean? So we have to take care of that. So obviously we need a little bit of user interface also. Why is user interface important? If you're migrating 1,000 systems, it's not like 5 guys who do that. You will have rock stars, you will have good guys, but you will also have guys which just do labor, right? So you need to make the tooling accessible, right? Make it accessible. Not everybody is a VI Unix editor rock star, right? You need to make it accessible. Again, if you do this for one system and you have a team like David has, rules are a bit different because he has excellent guys, right? But if you do this in an environment with 1,000 systems, with 50,000 engineers running around, you need to make it accessible and also doable. For example, one important aspect is if you have stored procedures, you need to change them a bit. So what we do is, in order to speed up the process, is we use a language model to do code pre-translation, not because we trust the AI to fully migrate the code. No, because you just save a lot of typing, you know? So fix the simple things, because for the more complicated things, you need a brain anyway. But have automation like, okay, you have 50 auto increment triggers that are all the same. So why type them like monkeys? You know, let's have automation. Let's have pre-translation just to fix up the basic stuff, just to reduce the load by 50%. If you're migrating 1,000 systems, not touching 50% of code is a big deal, right? It's a big deal. So this is important. So it's also about the tooling. And I will show you something on tooling later, especially related to this project. In general, how this works is we extract the Oracle data structure, we clone the system catalog, we map the data types to Postgres and all the sequences, partitions, etc. More on partitions a bit later. And then obviously you need to make adjustments, right? So regardless of the tool you have, you always need somebody who does a little bit of changing later on. A lot of stuff can be done automatic, but it will never go without engineers. Press button, everything working. That does exist, but it's not the in all the applications. Everything else would be a lie, I would say. So also a bit of runtime considerations. I recently heard a podcast by a guy who's doing batteries, and he mentioned an interesting sentence, and he said, we don't expect significant technical breakthroughs beyond the laws of physics, right? Beyond the laws of physics means if you have a network connection that does 100 megabytes per second, you can tune whatever you want. It's 100 megabytes a second, right? So if you have large databases, do the mathematics what it means. So I got some data here from one of the databases here that was 42.6 terabytes in 53 hours. That works out to roughly 800 gigabytes per hour, right? So if I tell you we did 800 gigabytes per hour, right? Oh, what an achievement, right? If I tell you it's 53 hours, right? Oh, what's going on there, right? So put this into perspective. 42 terabytes of data is a lot. And 800 gigabytes per hour, if you do the math, is quite a nice network connection. Right? So, David, if you want to add something here, just jump in, interrupt me anytime, right? I got a feeling that you want to say something.
I would say that was for me most impressive, and it really made fun. And we had the first try of it, and these are the times we achieved at the end, and we were really all amazed, and it was incredible, and it was very good, and we were checking, and we had I think we had a signal group where we get from the different stages, when we have this stage, when we have this stage, and it was a weekend. We were all incredible passion for it, and yes, it made really fun. And at the end, I could say I would say it was a great engineering success in this way, and everybody who is working in this field likes things like this, because it gives you value, it gives you fun, and you really you are amazed of things like this. It was very good.
I just listened to what he said. It was amazing. We like it. All the engineers were on the group. You know, that's the drive you need. That's what you need. The migration is one thing. If everybody says, well, we got to migrate, that's not going to fly. If you have this type of drive and the balls to do this type of project, you know, then it's going to fly, right? And if you don't have the engineers on the tooling side that think the same way, that's not going to fly either. Okay, so I consider that to be important, right? But keep the math in mind. 100 terabytes of data. Imagine copying 100 terabytes of data with a USB stick. That's not going to work either. So keep in mind, when things get large, keep the math in mind. For those who are asking for zero downtime migration, this thing does exist. Different story. We did not use this in this project, but there is such a thing under many circumstances. Here we had a weekend, right? But just to put the numbers a bit into perspective, what this means, I will get back to that slightly later. I think Joachim also had a similar big thing to migrate. I think I remember speaking about this. Yeah? So where is the time going? I made a very simple example here, 40 million rows. To load 40 million rows, it takes 12 seconds, right? But to create an index on that is 15 seconds. And it's just one index. It means we need foreign keys that need to be validated. We need indexing to be added. We need constraints, anything. So if you're just thinking on how fast can I copy the data, you're missing half the story, because you might copy data for 10 hours and index for 30, right? And just keep one number in mind. If you're reading at 1 gigabyte per second, a terabyte is 20 minutes just to read it. Just to keep this in mind, what this means. And you can't change it. That's what it is. It's mathematics, and mathematics is very hard to bribe, right? So obviously you have to keep this in mind. So when it's not about only moving the data, Oracle has to be able to give you this level of data at scale, at speed. So you have to read this thing from Oracle. You have to send it over the wire. You have to put it into the target database. You have to write transaction log, create indexes, verify everything. So megabytes per second matters when you copy the data, but there are many more components to this that make up this time, right? So I would say this is important. So let me specifically refer to our special customer here. We decided to make a nice user interface, and they decided to show us, guys, think harder. You know what I mean? What was the number of petitions, David, if I remember correctly? 300,000? Something like that? Yeah. So imagine you're migrating 300,000 database, 300,000 petitions in the database, and you have a nice graphical user interface, and you click on the table, and you click on partitions, and I can assure you, nobody tested with 300,000 petitions. You know? So
yeah, that was I would say it was for us. It was working together with you, and that made fun, because we had requests, feature requests, performance issues, I would say, for the migration process, and it was very fast delivered from your side, and so you got immediately or very fast, I would say, a response for it, and it helped much, I would say, to have this kind of working together with good engineering, and then you had not the real lack, and it kept the motivation very high for the whole team, I would say, yeah, I would say sometimes it helps when you have passionate engineers on both sides. Then you are on the right track, I would say.
Exactly. Also, you need the customer that has the brain to understand that moving 100,000 partitions is not like eating a piece of cake, you know? So this is what I mean by working together. Working together is such a buzzword. Oh, we work together, we love each other. Working together means, guys, here's a problem. We got 300,000 petitions, and working together means, here, my friend, is the solution. Thank you for pointing out, you know? So this is a two-way street. By the way, same with Joachim. He's also a very cooperative guy. So if you want to sign up with Paxia, he's also a very nice guy to work with. So just to put this perspective here. Okay. Then also, obviously, okay, many partitions, we got it. But sometimes you also have a big table as a whole, right? And obviously, we implemented a bit of parallelism in a single table. And let me elaborate a bit how this works. You know, how would you do that? So everybody says, oh, this is fast, this is wonderful, we can do it, we're the best. Cards on the table, guys, show how it works, right? And this is how it works. Guys would ask you, okay, you're doing parallel transfer. What about consistency? How do you ensure when you're copying with 60 processes that the thing is consistent, right? So you need one snapshot of data to get it in. And the way we do this, we start parallel repeatable read transactions behind the scenes, and then we do Oracle flashback queries as of. So we get 60 connections or whatever many connections running concurrently on Oracle that have exactly the same transactional visibility. So we can parallelize that, right? Secondly, how do you parallelize table orders? So we sort tables by size and fire size descendingly, right? So we start second table, fire up second one, next one, next one, next one. And in our migrator, this is done by Rust program. So the UI controls, the UI says, gives a small JSON document to a Rust process. We fire up a big number of Rust processes that are all independent of each other, working in the same transactional snapshot, and copy the data over. So there's one thread in Rust that reads the data from Oracle and a second thread that pumps it to Postgres so that we don't lose in while we wait for reading or while we wait for writing. So it's basically reading and writing at the same time. And this is done in parallel in a consistent multi-process repeatable read transaction as of SCN, which is Oracle Flashback, right? So this is how consistency works. So obviously, if we can read like crazy, how do we get this into the other side? You know, so we have to apply a lot of trickery in order to pump this straight to the disk as we can. And this we do by transaction log bypass. We set hint bits automatically. We tweak column orders. So we do everything in the book that for a normal Postgres person looks, what are you doing? This, why are you changing this thing here? There's a reason for that. We set hint bits. We do additional trickery. We do transaction log bypass, like create table, start a transaction, create table, truncate, stuff like that, just to make sure that we can get the maximum on the right side, right? So quite a topic here, but just I want to show you that there is life beyond the marketing slide, that there has to be solid engineering there, because if the customer is going to throw 50 terabytes at you, guys, you need to deliver. You know, with 50 megabytes, it's fun. With 50 terabytes, it's for the boys. It's for the men, you know, you need to know what you're doing, right? So, as I said, we're a Postgres fundamentalist company here, headquartered in Austria, but as I said, we're worldwide. And yeah, we're working with our friends worldwide. So we're actually here visiting a business partner while speaking to Joachim, which is the other business partner. And yeah, Jenna, I couldn't fix that one, but I hope this one was fine. So, is yours.
Yeah. So thank you, David, and thank you, Hans. I will do like this, that I'll just like this, or I take control, Share. Here we go. I thought just very shortly, let's do a Q&A very shortly. But I was going to tell you, let's see how the timing is. Timing is 15:46, 50:40, so yeah, quarter two. So just for the guys on this webinar, just wanted to point out very shortly, because I met several organizations, old contacts, and they have been stuck for ages actually with Oracle. And every time they come out from the negotiatings with the Oracle for another 2-year contract or 3-year contract, they swear and say, now we're going to leave Oracle. And then the time flies by, and then after 2 or 3 years, it's the same story again. And they get pissed off after meeting with Oracle, and they say, now it's the time again. And then it flies 2 or 3 years again. And where we have a solid, I mean, David and Hans, we do have a solid process for this that you have described, Hans. And I wanted to take an example from actually this summer. So
actually, Joachim, I would challenge the word negotiation. If you are sitting on 10,000 systems and a license is due, it might feel like an negotiation, but which choice do you have?
You are absolutely 100% correct, Hans. That's
you have to accept that you are in a vendor login situation, and that you have a problem, that you have limited possibilities of negotiation. And as I had in my presentation, try to analyze the possibility of a movement, and right after you signed, and we did the same on our side, right after you signed, for example, a 3-year contract, start the project parallel to the running, because at this moment you have the highest motivation to get rid of it, and you have to do your homework before, so you have to check what you can save, what is the dependency, the database requirement and dependency of your IT services on your applications, all you have, and you look on detail how you do, and also when you think about a movement, you're going somewhere else, you have more flexibility. For example, as I said, you don't have to count every process license you have. You do not have to fear each new metric movement, which could happen daily at Oracle side, and which increases your yearly costs for your databases dramatically. So you have to prepare, and then say, okay, it's possible, I go in this direction, and then I would say sign the contract and start the migration that way. And what we did.
Yeah. And to get started to do your business case, I just found using the process, well-proven process, from you guys and others, and the CYBERTEC process. I worked with a public authority here this summer, and they have not thousands of Oracle databases, but they had 128 Oracle schemas, and they are doing a business case to move everything. They're doing the business case right now, but helpful for them was to do this first assessment, and you could do it in different steps depending on where you are. But in order to do the calculations, as you say, David, and get the kind of business case to put on the table, struggle where to start. And this is a well-proven process where you can start to do scoping. In this case, the customer, they just wanted to, they thought, it's a good idea for us to know, if 50 or 60 or 7%, how much can we just move, and how much are we able, do we need to spend more time on to do coding on? And the customer here got, in this case, it was a 50-50 split. So that was their case. And then they said, let's do a full assessment now, so we can estimate what the migration cost for the databases are, and then of course the application teams and the application comes to play as well. So you need to get a clue on that one. But anyway, just to help people here to understand, so we then saw the results that they had out of the other 64 schemas then that we needed to do something with. We were able to see them. It was 26 that came in as easy ones, so we will be able to move them quickly. And then you have 32 medium, hard, medium, complex, and then it was 6 hard ones. And I know they have an old legacy application that is the hardest one in this category. And because of this very, I would say, detailed assessment, we were able also to put a proposal on the table, you know, that we need to spend 131 hours on this to do the migration of the database or of the Oracle schemas. Just wanted to highlight that because I've noticed when I do it like this, it's kind of just lighten up a little bit how you can get started, because some people have meetings and meetings and meetings and they really don't get started. This is how you can start, one way to do it.
Yeah. One important thing, as I said, is for this movement, you have to check what are points where you cannot move away because the application is only working with Oracle, for example, and you have no possibility. And the other one is you should think about, are people resilient for this movement? And you need, I would say, you need open mindset to say, okay, I'm not Oracle fan. I'm fan of databases, and I want to check what alternatives are there. And when you have a case like you said, then you look in detail and you find solutions how you can migrate and how you can do. You need sometimes a little bit patience and a little bit and engineering. You should invest in this way. And my experience is you find solution for everything. The question is in which time and how, but you need to bring the best partners together, and good engineers together, and then you find a solution for everything, and that's my experience.
I got a question for you guys, Joachim and David. How many startups do you know who implement Oracle strategically from scratch? Zero.
Yeah, I'm not aware of anyone. I'm not aware of anyone.
Exactly. So if something has close to 0 new customers, do you expect it to be the technology of the future? Just curious. So you're not sticking with the market leader, you are sticking with the guy in decline.
Yeah. Hey, what I did now is that I open up the possibility for anyone to unmute their microphone. I open up a chat here, so you could also just bring in a question. I saw from one of my customer question, and I think you mentioned that, David, but let me see here now. It was around the downtime. I apologize. It's a bit of text here.
So, yeah, what was the downtime for the migration? In this case, we were dealing mostly with data warehousing. So the really big ones did not need change data capture with CDC. We did have a long weekend for the big ones. If you don't have a long weekend because you are 24/7 or whatever, there are options to do that. In this case, there was a thing like a night, you know. But still, weekend is not long, you know. If you're talking about 50 terabytes of data, a weekend is nothing. Yeah?
No, true. That's true. Still very impressive numbers. So, is there anyone that dare to unmute or ask more questions in the chat?
I also wanted to bring up one point, especially when you're talking about something like a national bank or a anything regulated. There is nothing more regulated than the national bank, I can assure you. So if it's possible in this environment successfully, don't worry.
I think it's true, and I had a presentation also at an event for the European Commission, and I showed them there, and they also said that they see it very good. And in my experience, and we had a lot of presentations about it because many companies and other institutions look on us and say it's very good. But not all are starting the movement, and I think I do not understand it why it is. But when you look on detail, as I said, often it's a kind of resilience within the companies. For example, you have a very strong database team in operations, or you have fanboys at different management levels, or you fear the change overall, or something else. Yet then you do not start in this way, because you can find, as always, reasons why it will be not good, and why you argue against the trust in this movement. I cannot understand it, as I can say, why it is not happening more and more. But yeah, we can only show the possibility, and everyone is up for himself or for his company to see it in this direction. One fact is also that I see. You should know your company, and you should know the decision paths which are in this company. And as I said, when you start a movement like this, you need an argument like we save, like we had. When I showed the case, and I calculated the case, and I showed that we save 650,000 euros yearly, then I knew whoever will come and argue against our movement, I will show this figure. And they showed this figure our board, and our board said, yes, we want to save.
Yeah.
So at the end, the best argument is to establish the cost saving with the money, because this is what nobody can really at the end kill this argument. And you also have to select or win important stakeholders in the IT departments to start with this project. Then you can go into this direction, I would say.
David, can I ask you shortly before we end here, so we respect the time as well. So I'm thinking of the 650K. So what do you do with all this money? Are you saving everything, or are you able? Have you kind of shuffled over more to innovation? Can you tell anything about that?
Yeah, what we saw is that we need innovations in new technologies and a data analytical platform and in other innovations. So we have not really savings, but we invested it in other technologies. But we would invest in this in other technologies anyway. But when we do not get a little bit of savings, we have more discussions why we need more money. So we saved money and invested in another way, and it's a kind of our responsibility to move it into another pot and try to live with the money you have. This is my opinion. So in this way, not constantly go to the board and say we need more money, we need more money, we need no more money. And yeah, overall, I would say we saved it, but not really at the end, because as you see in IT, you always need money for anything. But overall, if you try to consolidate in some parts, you can invest in new parts. Otherwise, you are continuously growing, and you are not doing a good job for the economic responsibility at your company, in my opinion.
I would love to ask you one more question. It's 4:00 now, but if you can, if you want to shortly answer, and that is, so, and you mentioned a little bit, you touched on it a little bit, but so you have moved, you are not everything on Postgres, but a lot. So how is the change today? I'm thinking of just in the way you are able to have it enable you to move faster with innovation. How had that impacted your environment, except from your lower costs? You're kind of more free to choose. You have a free, and I would say a future-proof platform. But could you touch something on that?
Yeah, I think we are faster because we built this. On the green field, and we have a really high automation. We are using Ansible playbooks for all the operations you do in this way. And with every new major release of PG, we are always checking, and we are attending on conferences and on days. We're seeing that there is a good drive in this community, and all new features are coming. We always think about what we can use on our side when we see, okay, new possibilities for such possibilities, then we can use, and we can maybe use PG more for this way. And I see it as very good innovation part, and because you have this on site in a very automated way, and it helps us, I would say, into this direction, and we use it in this way.
Super, thanks, David. So I'm going to finalize here. Thanks to all who attended. Unbelievable, very great, or whatever great word I can use for this valuable input from you and team, David. That was fantastic. Really, valuable for any bank here in the Nordics or any other large organization sitting on a huge estate of Oracle. And Hans, thanks for delivering trust from CYBERTEC and show how we can work more with organizations here in the Nordic. So I just want to finalize and say we do come back on a regular basis with other or new webinars, upcoming webinars. We have done some during the autumn, but we will continue to run around compliance, audit, and security, and also lakehouse, modern data lakehouse on the new year. So just visit CYBERTEC's homepage or partners, and you will be able to see what's in the pipeline. I wish you all a good rest of the day, and I wish you, we are still not there, but anyway, Christmas is coming soon, so I wish you all a good holiday in a few weeks. So thanks a lot for now. Cheers.
Thanks. All the best.
Cheers from South Africa to the rest of the world.
Thanks.
Cheers and Merry Christmas, and bye.
Bye-bye.